There's a version of your career that actually excites you on Monday mornings, and it's closer than you think. But right now, you may feel stuck. Maybe you've outgrown your job, but leaving still feels more terrifying than staying. This feeling is called job hugging, holding on to something safe long after it stopped feeling right. Clarity isn't about what you say yes to. It's also about what you're ready to walk away from. 2 weeks before I launched this podcast, a Netflix recruiter called me for a leadership role, and I didn't even take the interview. I'm Joanna, former exec at Meta and Spotify. After chasing big waves around the world, I'm here to help you chase yours. Today, I'm going to walk you through the framework that made the Netflix decision easy and how to map your next move with clarity long before you resign. Let's dive in. The framework is called Ikigai. It's a Japanese concept that roughly translates to reason for being or purpose. And unlike most career advice, it doesn't tell you what to do. It helps you figure out what's already true about you and where to point it. Think of Ikigai as 4 circles that need to overlap. What you love, the work that makes you lose track of time, what you're good at, your natural strengths and the skills you've built, what the world needs, problems that genuinely matter to you. And, of course, what you can be paid for, because we all need to make money. When all 4 overlap, that's when your work finally feels right. But here's what you might not realize. You can be successful and still be completely out of alignment. Maybe you're great at what you do, but it drains you. Or you're paid well, but the work doesn't actually matter to you. That stuck feeling, it's probably because you're winning at 1 or 2 circles, but the others are being ignored. Now, looking at 4 abstract circles is one thing. Actually mapping your own life onto them is another. To make this practical, I have a free Ikigai mapping worksheet to help translate these circles into real career moves. For almost, 20 years, marketing was my Ikigai. The campaigns, the global teams, the strategy, I was good at it and I loved it. But somewhere in there, I got so busy being excellent that I forgot to check whether I still loved it. Sydney 1 week, Tokyo the next. Presentations, deadlines, travel, repeat. You get so good at running on that treadmill, you stop noticing that the treadmill isn't going anywhere new. And when you have a demanding career, a family, a life, there's rarely a quiet moment to even ask the question. The moment I woke up to this wasn't dramatic. A new friend asked how I'd end up in Singapore. I told her about my bold career moves when I moved to Germany without a job, Asia without a job, the pivots, the leaps. She was completely enamored. And I thought, I used to do this all the time. I used to be someone who moved toward what felt right, even when it was uncomfortable. When did I stop giving myself permission to do that? I'd forgotten how to dream. Not because I was unhappy, because I was too busy to notice the gap. So I finally sat down with the Ikigai framework. And I want to be honest, I'm not someone with a long list of hobbies, so it wasn't easy for me to fill in the love circle. What I did instead was started noticing what conversations gave me energy, what made me feel happy. And what kept coming up was people, not just marketing strategy or campaign metrics, something deeper. When I was mentoring someone, or when I was on stage and something clicked for someone in the audience, I wasn't just interested, I was alive. When I actually mapped it out, it looked something like this. What I love. Conversations where someone's thinking shifts. Teaching. Helping people work through hard decisions. What I'm good at? Communicating complicated ideas simply. Storytelling, empathy, and bringing people together. What the world needs, honest career guidance that doesn't sugarcoat the hard parts. And what I can be paid for, coaching, content, speaking, building communities. That didn't hand me a finished business plan, but it pointed me in a direction. And that's all Ikigai is supposed to do. You don't need the full picture. You just need enough clarity to take the next step. And that direction got seriously tested. 2 weeks before I launched my podcast, a recruiter reached out about a senior APAC leadership role at Netflix. And I want to be honest about this because it wasn't just any opportunity. I loved my time at Spotify and Meta. Those were dream roles, and I'm genuinely grateful for them. So the pull toward another brand like that was real. The salary, the recognition, walking into a room and having people immediately understand what you do. But when I asked myself honestly why I would take it, I kept landing on the same answer. It was a vanity metric. It had nothing to do with what I now knew about myself. I was chasing the feeling of the shiny brand name and the validation that came with it. I didn't even take the interview. Not because I assumed I'd get the job, but because I knew that if it went well, I might not be able to say no, even when I knew inside that I had found my purpose with chasing waves. And I wasn't willing to risk my own conviction on that. I trusted the framework and myself, and I stayed. And this isn't me walking away from marketing. Those skills, that world, they're still very much part of who I am. Back then, that world was my Ikigai. The brands, the strategy, the global teams, it fit who I was at that stage. Right now, chasing waves is my Ikigai. And doing the exercise gave me the clarity to know the difference. Let me show you through a client I worked with recently. Someone came to me recently completely stuck. He was an accomplished sales leader, and when he was applying to open roles, he realized that he just wasn't excited about any of them. Nothing felt right. When someone can't see past their current role or linear career path, I ask, in 5 to 10 years, if you could be doing anything, what would you be doing? Where are you? That distance in time gives you the permission to dream again. He paused and then said, I'd be curating unique travel experiences, helping people discover places they'd never find on their own. We spent the first 30 minutes talking about sales roles, and then this left field idea came up. Sales to travel. Sounds like a complete career pivot, right? But when we mapped it out through the worksheet, the skills were all there. Relationship building, understanding what people want, creating compelling narratives, closing deals. So if we looked at the Ikigai worksheet, what he loved, creating unique experiences, helping people discover new places, what he was good at, building relationships, understanding what customers really want, what the world needed, authentic, curated travel experiences, and what he could be paid for, hospitality and travel consulting. Transferable skills to a completely different job description. Once he mapped it out, the path became obvious. And the thing is, your Ikigai could look completely different from everyone else's. I had another client who was working in finance in a prestigious program. On paper, everything looked great. But when we dug in, she admitted she didn't love the big picture strategy work. What she actually loved was checking things off a list, operationally getting things done. And her values, sustainability. It mattered deeply to her. Once she saw that, a completely different direction opened up. An operational role in a sustainability-focused company. Not as glamorous on paper, but the excitement in her voice, completely different. Knowing what actually energizes you versus what slowly drains you, that's the difference between a career that looks good and one that feels good. Your Ikigai isn't something you find once and lock in forever. Because what felt right at 28 might not feel right at 38. That's not failure. That's just growth. You may notice a few signs that it's shifting. See if any of these resonate with you. You're good at your job and being rewarded for it, but exhausted in a way sleep doesn't fix. You're counting down to Friday every single week. You keep finding yourself drawn to something else. Podcasts, conversations, industries that have nothing to do with your current role. Or you catch yourself thinking, I worked so hard to get here. Why doesn't this feel enough? None of these mean you're broken. They mean you're evolving and may need to rethink what your Ikigai is now. And if you're sitting there thinking you've never had a clear passion to begin with, that's a completely different starting point and an equally valid one. I get it. I'm not a person with lots of hobbies either, because Ikigai isn't about hobbies. It's about values, energy, and exploration. Podcasting wasn't my hobby. I didn't sit around thinking, you know what sounds fun? Recording my voice and editing audio for hours. But I did know I valued helping people grow. I was energized by conversations where I could see someone's mindset shift. So I explored. And podcasting happened to be a medium that aligned with those values. If you don't know what you love yet, start here. What energizes you versus what drains you? What do others come to you for? What were you curious about before someone told you it wasn't practical? You don't find your Ikigai by overthinking it. You find it by testing things and noticing how they feel. Which brings me back to the worksheet I mentioned at the start. It's linked in the description below. It's not just 4 pretty circles on a page. It walks you through the actual exercises, how to spot the patterns, what you're good at, what lights you up, and how to start testing ideas without quitting your job first. Here's my challenge to you before you click off. Don't let this be another episode you consume and forget. Block out 30 minutes this week. Do the exercise. Be honest with yourself. 30 minutes of real reflection will give you more clarity than years of overthinking ever will. You've already built an incredible foundation. Now, it's time to use those same strengths to build something that actually feels right from the inside out. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Joanna. Let's go chase that wave.